Hello and welcome to this session of Buddhist psychology. I'm actually recording this for a friend, but I thought I will also put it up on YouTube in case it is helpful for anyone who is interested in the Buddhist spiritual path. I wouldn't say Buddhist spiritual path. All spiritual path leads to the same results, but there are different ways of expressing it, and I resonate the most with the Buddha's way of expressing his spiritual search path and ultimate union with all that is. So of course other religions are also valid, but here I'm just focused on the Buddhist psychology, right? So there are some terms to know, just in case you're new to Buddhism. There is the word the Buddha, and then the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So these words are referred to the triple gem in Buddhism. Okay, these three are triple gems. So the Buddha, who is the Buddha? The word Buddha means the awakened consciousness. Anyone can be awake, not just Sakyamuni Buddha. So Sakyamuni Buddha, or Siddhartha Gautama, was the son of a Sakyan chief. So he was referred to as the historical Buddha if we are talking about history and linear time. But if we talk about the word Buddha, anyone can be awakened. It's our human potentiality. So the Buddha was raised as a prince according to stories about his life. But actually he was the son of a chieftain. His father wasn't an emperor. His father was the elected chief of all the kings in the Sakyan state, the Sakyan Republic, which is in present-day Lumbini, Nepal. So at the age of 16, he married his cousin, beautiful princess named Yasodhara. He lived a contented life in Kapilavatthu, the capital of the Sakyan Republic, and he was probably trained in martial arts and statecraft. So when he reached his 20s, he became very introspective. He was troubled with the great burning issues we ordinarily take for granted. And what are those? Well, some very key ones which I asked when my mom passed away when I was young was, why are we born only to die? What is the purpose of living if I have to die, right? So of course the easiest answer some people find is, well, because of God. So of course I'm not satisfied with just that answer, because of God, because it doesn't really take away any of my suffering from my grieving over my mom's death or the death of other people I love. It doesn't take away the stress I have in my life. Or some people say surrender to God. Again, it doesn't really help. So of course during the Siddhartha Gautama's time, there was a religion, the Brahmins, right? Hinduism today. And so of course they also believe in the universal God, right? And there were a lot of rituals that he had to perform, I believe, as a Brahmin, to give oblations to the gods, and so that they can be be reborn again as a Brahmin again and again on a higher caste. Because in India there were 4 castes: the Brahmins, the priests, and then second the warriors. So sorry, the Buddha was considered the warrior class. So of course, then below them is the merchant, and then the artisans, and then lastly are the untouchables. So in those times, the Brahmins would at first they were very religious, but then they became very materialistic, and they used rituals to earn money from these warriors and these merchants who were becoming powerful and rich during those times, right? When people were becoming less religious, they were becoming more materialistic. And so that's how this Brahmin class started to exploit the changes and create a lot more rituals for people. So of course the Buddha, he didn't find that satisfying. Just like today, me, I didn't find it satisfying for someone to tell me, because there's God, you go and pray and then you'll be fine, because it doesn't take away the suffering in my heart, right? So of course he asked himself all these questions, right? Is the purpose of life just sensual pleasures, eating well, pursuing wealth, and staying healthy? Of course we know that these aren't lasting things. Health doesn't last. my uncle said that health is wealth, but actually the Buddha would say health is impermanent. Then the achievement of wealth and status, so that's also very transient. So we have seen people who become very rich and only to become very poor. And also, of course, the exercise of power. Power also is not secure. If you're very powerful, you will probably lead a very painful life. Why? Because, I mean, the empress in China and the kings in South Korea, I mean, I've read histories of these two countries. I don't think the head of the state sleeps very well, because he or she is always very prone to being assassinated, right? And so, of course, Siddhartha Gautama asked himself this valid question: is there anything beyond this that is more real and fulfilling? There must be, right? Rather than just sensual pleasures, enjoyment from material things, and what else is there, right? So these must have been questions that rippled across his mind, and I believe some of you resonate with him as I do. And so some of his own reflections are recorded for us today, called the Noble Quest in the Pali Canon, which is the early Buddhist canon where there's a discourse of the Buddha. So he said, "Monks, before my enlightenment, being myself subject to birth, aging, sickness and death, to sorrow and defilement, I sought what was subject to birth, aging, sickness and death, to sorrow and defilement. Then I considered thus, why, being subject to birth, to defilement, should I seek what is subject to birth and defilement? Suppose that, being myself subject to birth, having understood the danger in what is subject to birth, I seek the unborn, the supreme security from bondage, nibbana. Suppose that, being myself subject to aging, sickness and death, to sorrow and defilement, I seek the unaging, unailing, deathless, sorrowless, and undefiled state, the supreme security from bondage, which is nibbana." So what it means is, for example, I myself am subject to birth, but I seek refuge in what is subject to birth. It means that I seek safety from people around me, my parents, my spouse, my kids, but they too are subject to birth and death. So if I seek refuge in them for security, I will not succeed, because they too are impermanent. If I seek health as my security, it is also not a lasting peace, because we know health is impermanent. We'll never be healthy forever. We'll age. Some people don't even age, and illness comes and then come death. So health is also subject to birth and death. Your spouse is subject to birth and death. Your children are subject to birth and death. So what he seeks is actually something unborn, right? Something unborn. Supreme security from bondage. Bondage means seeking security. When you seek security, there's a bondage. What does it mean? When you seek security, love, expectation from your husband or wife, there's that bondage. You're bonded through expectations, through give and take, right? So that is a bondage. Okay, so he wants to be freed from these expectations and this, right, desire, because for you to feel secure in your marriage, your spouse will have to do certain things for you to feel secure. And if he or she doesn't do it, you don't feel secure. For you to feel secure in your body with health, you have to do certain things, which is eating the right food, exercising. So now we're not saying don't do that, but again, that is a kind of bondage. The more you do it, the more you're bonded to your body, thinking if I do this, I'm going to live forever, or maybe live long enough and I'm not going to fall sick. But then it creates all this expectation, which is like a bondage of the mind to the body, bondage of the mind to the partner. All right, so that's what it means. So suppose myself subject to aging, sickness and death, to sorrow and lamentation, defilement. I seek the unaging, unailing, deathless, sorrowless, and undefiled state, the supreme security from bondage. So meaning when he has faith, definitely. Siddhartha Gautama has faith. He has faith. There is something that is undying, that is unailing, that is deathless, that is within us all. So if you think about it, you can say what he's describing is God, okay? But if you see God as something outside of you, again, then you are seeking and you are bonding your mind to something outside of you, wishing and hoping it is real, it is real. But however, if it makes sense to you that if God is a creator of everything, it is not a human being, it's not a personality, it is not anything you can point to, but it is an essence, it's a spark that exists in all of us, then surely we can reach within ourselves to find this spark. And since the creator or God is everlasting, then if you can reach this spark within you, then and you can merge into this spark or melt into this spark, this essence within you, then you understand everyone is God, every animal, every plant is God. And when you have that deep realization by reaching within yourself, can your mind be freed from bondage? Right? So again, do not cling to the words that I've said, they are just words. Just as I can't accept somebody tell me, oh, God is everything, just surrender, right? Because that's not how the human heart is made. The human heart is made with doubt, with uncertainty. And so the path, spiritual path, is to walk through this doubt in your own mind, this uncertainty and this certainty as well. Okay? Also, I also made this slide. Yeah, I forgot. And anyway, at the time of the Buddha, all religions that have existed, Brahmanism, Zoroastrian, Judaism, these are ancient religions, they all know that within us lie an ultimate divine nature, the true self, blissful, loves unconditionally, and is wise. So in this self, there are no other self. Love does not need an object. Love just is. Yeah? Okay, so that's very, very hard to understand, but as we go along, hopefully you will understand. Everyone in these religions know that the divine by any name is within us through our consciousness. Right? If you examine all of your body, you can feel solidity, you can feel fluidity, you can feel the air. Air is subtle, it's like space and it's like nothing there. And there's also consciousness. There's nothing you can pinpoint to point out where consciousness resides, right? Right? So this consciousness is to be investigated. You cannot point consciousness is in your legs. You cannot point consciousness is in your brain because it seems to be everywhere in your body all at once. Right? And it also seems to be outside of your body. Right? When somebody walks behind you, you seem to have this awareness. You know someone is walking behind you. But that person hasn't touched you. So that consciousness cannot just be within the body, right? Okay. So anyway, this consciousness is obscured by the identification with the ego, the small little me with a name, with a house, with a status, with an amount of money that I need to protect so that I will never die. Okay, this is the ego. So it takes skillful teachings and practical spiritual exercises to realize our true nature. Not every religion or practices leads us along the genuine path, because this is a subtle path that requires a lot of discernment and a steady mind. So, at the age of 29, Siddhartha Gautama, he became a wanderer. Okay, at the prime of his life, with his parents weeping, he cut off his hair and beard, put on the saffron robes of a mendicant, and entered upon the homeless life of a renunciate. Okay, so at the time, many Brahmins, the priestly caste, they became disillusioned by the rituals and corruption within their religion. So they also left home to question the nature of consciousness, which is what we call the mind. So the mind and consciousness has a synonym, we call it spirit. Okay, so anyway, anything psychology has is actually an examination of the spirit. It's not just purely the mechanical brain, right? So if you have watched many near-death experiences, you'll know that the death of the brain does not stop consciousness having an experience. So anyway, the philosophical segment of Brahmanism, today's Hinduism, came up with books of their own knowledge by looking inwards. They also have books. And these books are known as the Upanishads. They are like the offshoot of the Brahmans, the mainstream Brahmanism. These are the people who left the religion, went to the forest to meditate. Okay, they predate the Greek philosophers, right? Greek philosophers later also did the same. They also went to meditate. They came out with their books. So the Upanishads had many accomplished meditation teachers who reached certain states of consciousness. And two of them, Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta. Okay, these two, Gautama Siddhartha, learned and reached exalted states of samadhi, right, which is tranquil states of mind. Okay, so this tranquil state of mind is conditioned in the sense that anyway, you'll learn about condition later, right? I don't want to confuse you now. So it's a tranquil state of mind. So however, when he left this samadhi, he still suffered from internal suffering. So he left his wife, his parents in search, right, to be freed from the cycle of rebirth. But during this time, he must have suffered like any of us would, who have left, who leave our home, probably miss our family, probably don't eat well, we fall sick. And we may also question ourselves, is this journey worth it, right? To leave my wife, my child? He was probably thinking that, right? To come on this search, what if I don't come out with an answer? So he must have all these things that really gnaw at him lah. He probably suffers a lot, right? The Gautama Siddhartha. So for him, the drive to find the truth is very real, right? So he left his teachers, okay, and Gautama Siddhartha was known as a Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is a seeker of awakening. Okay, if you seek to awaken, meaning you want to find the truth. What is the truth of life and death? Why are we here? What is the purpose? So you are seeking rather than just being happy with just a one-line answer, because there's God or because there's Nibbana. Okay, then you're a true seeker. You're a Bodhisattva. Your intention is very strong. So Siddhartha Gautama, he turned away from the meditation and he sought asceticism. So asceticism is the opposite of a tranquil mind. He ate only 1 grain of rice, he fasted, and he self-modified himself. He thought that liberation is to be won by afflicting the body with pain, so that his mind can be freed from the body. So he didn't make it, obviously. He nearly died, looked like a skeleton, and he realized that, oh my God, I might just die without realizing the truth. So one day he decided to finally eat properly, because he realized the body needs food, right? If it's not sustained, he would die along with it, and there will be another rebirth, and who knows what will happen, right? So he took some food from this girl called Sujata, and then he meditated under a tree in Uruvela, and he told himself, unless he awakens his mind, okay, he will not get up from meditating. So I think he sat, I think for 6 hours, I'm not sure, but you see, at this time his meditative state is really very strong, very deep. So yeah, so he developed the divine eye, which he could see beings pass away, taking rebirth in accordance with their karma. So karma is not reward and punishment, it's a kind of energetic thing, which we'll discuss later. Okay, so karma is pushed by deeds. Deeds will be action of body, speech, and mind. So they are like an energetic, they are like an energy, right, that pushes certain energy to keep going, right? So in the last watch of the night, he penetrated the truth of existence, the basic laws of reality, and removed from his mind the subtlest veils of ignorance. What's ignorance? Ignorance would be things we think, how we think things should be, but they're not. Okay, so he finally won liberation, and he attained the deathless in this very life itself. He merged with the deathless. If we replace the word deathless with God, you can say he merged with God. Okay, but God is not a human, is not a personality, cannot be described. Next, the Dharma. What is the Dharma? The Dharma is truth, or rather teachings taught by the Buddha, okay, uncovered gradually through sustained practice. If you are a practitioner, you will not believe in the Buddha wholeheartedly. You will actually test his teachings to gain certainty, right? He made it very clear many times, okay, that awakening does not occur like a bolt out of the blue to the untrained, unprepared mind. Rather, it culminates a long journey of many stages. So Siddhartha Gautama said this: just as the ocean has a gradual shelf, a gradual slope, a gradual inclination with a sudden drop off only after a long stretch, in the same way, this doctrine and discipline has a gradual training, gradual performance, gradual progression, with a penetration to knowledge, gnosis, only after a long stretch. At each stage of this gradual training, the practitioner discovers a new and important dimension of the law of cause and effect, karma, okay, which is cornerstone of right view. When you can see and know your own karma, you're on the right path. Okay? Short explanation of karma. What exactly is karma? The Buddha said, karma is intention. Intention, I tell you monks, is karma. Intending, one does karma by way of body, speech, and mind, intellect. So we can reflect, how does intention arise? Okay. So Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, then said this: karma should be known. The cause by which karma comes into play should be known. The diversity in karma should be known. The result of karma should be known. The cessation of karma should be known. The path of practice for the cessation of karma should be known. Okay, this is actually the Four Noble Truths in short. Okay, right? Dharma, not karma. Dharma means path leading to the truth. Truth itself, the path to the end of karma. The Dharma is the middle way. What is the middle way? So in those times, people believe in eternalism, just as we do today, right? What is eternalism? People believe after they're dead, they go to God and they just stay the same forever, basically, right? So they say this. So in Brahmanism, there's eternalism. What do they say? They say the self is the same as the cosmos. This I will be after death, constant, lasting, eternal, not subject to change. So if you view the cosmos, the universe, as unchanging, then you would think that this unchanging thing inside you is also won't change, is eternal, just the same as many religions that believe after they die, they go to this eternal state, they don't change. This is eternalism. So in this eternalism view, there is a view of a soul, okay, unchanging soul and self that is just happily hanging out somewhere, doesn't change. So that's wrong view. Next view, opposite of eternalism, is materialism and annihilism. What is materialism and annihilism? You believe you are your body, okay? So this group of people, which majority of the world consists of this belief, When the self that is possessed of form, made of the four great elements, engendered by mother and father, is, with the breakup of the body, annihilated, destroyed, and does not exist after death, it's to this extent that the self is completely exterminated. So many people with this view, they believe they are the body, that they are the four elements, the fire, water, air, earth element, or they split out into this element and become forever, or get annihilated, right? That these elements no longer exist, just burst into space, finish, all done. Actually, it's a very scary thought, don't you think? Which brings on the fear in all of us who identify with this body. We think when the body dies, we are no more, which is a very, very scary thought. But many people believe in this because we are materialistic. We don't believe what cannot be seen, so we tend to believe this. What is the middle way, right? The middle way doesn't have this kind of rigid belief that there is foreverness or that there is annihilation. Okay? Middle way would ask this question: how does human suffering happen? The Buddha said it is not something that happens without any cause. It also does not arise because of perverted causes created by a god or Brahmana. That means it's not God created. It has its own causes. All things exist in accordance with the law of cause and effect. When there is a cause, there will be an effect. When causes exist, effects exist. The rising and existence of things are determined by causes and conditions. There is no being, no experiencer, only experiences due to cause and effect. So actually what he's saying is there's no personality self here. There's only cause and effect. If anger comes up, it comes from a thought. The cause is a thought. What is the thought? The thought that there is someone that exists that has been violated. So because of that thought, which is the cause, the effect is a feeling of anger. There's no one. It's just this series of energies running. But of course, it's not to say that because there's no one there, we should not. We should allow ourselves to be violated because we want to stop the cause as well, isn't it? Okay? So the middle way is a way to seek happiness and end suffering through discernment of cause and effect, and to know how to end the cause and effect, which is end of karma, okay, by seeing reality as it is. Okay, so I think that's enough for session 1. Hope you have not fallen asleep. So that's all for today. Thank you.